gamers. Today we are here to discuss two things. There's been a big discussion around trade recently. Is trade OP? Do we nerf trade? Do we buff trade? Do we remove trade? And there's a second thing that I want to discuss is how do we balance them video games? Do we balance them based on Joes or based on pros? Now, we're gonna start by looking at some win rates, and I also got provided by AOE4 World just before someone starts their conspiracy theories. They have linked these to in a public chat, so these are not stats given to me privately, you know, all sneakily. Multiple people have this, many people have this. So we're gonna look at the win rates, then we're gonna look at Conquer win rates, then we're going to look at win rates above 1.8k elo, 1.9k, and then 1.9k elo without me in the games. So we'll see how cherry picking stats and how certain things can influence these stats and balance, right? So the Malian win rate went down. This is something, I think it went down overall. It was a bit higher, and I think it's slowly going to go down. Rus obviously plummeted into the ground because, you know, no more hideout. Right now, I feel like in the community, there are a couple of things that are overpowered, okay? So, I see, you know, often Reddit posts, forum posts, Discord posts. Malians is OP, right? Everyone's on the Malian broken train. Mongols is OP because of tower rushing. English is OP because of longbow rushing in lower leagues. Aether is OP because Burger Palace rushes. French Knights are OP in one-on-ones and team games. And China is OP because China is OP, and I've heard a streamer say it. So these are six, I would say, are constantly called OP left and right. I would say Abbasid is, you know, there's nothing OP about it. There's nothing like super strong. Abbasid is a good civ, but there's nothing that just pops out. They don't kill you early. They're not unbeatable late game. They're just, you know, good. Rus is obviously at a not so much of a great point. And then we have Delhi that is not played too much. And then not many people complain about Ottoman yet. Have this in mind. Listen to me. Yet. People will complain about Ottoman very soon, and we're going to add them to the 7th overpowered list. Now, why is this important? Well, if every civ is overpowered, then no civ is really overpowered, right? And there's been a lot of discussions where we look at the win rates, and people are like, that's it. Yeah, right there. Malians is OP. Stats show it. It's broken. We got to nerf it. We got to buff Rus. We got to buff China. They're completely underpowered, and that's it. Now, this is why you can't look at the stats like this, right? This is overall, so these are all rank levels. Now, if you go to Diamond, Rus goes up, right, to 49%, 5th highest win rate. We do see Ottoman Mongol still there. Malian, 54%, by the way. China, 45%. Now, this is the thing. You look at this, and, okay, again, you say, okay, nerf Malian, maybe nerf Ottoman, maybe nerf Mongol, definitely buff China and buff Abbasid, right? Those are the weak ones, and Aether. Aether is weak, too. But here, we said we should buff Rus. So now my question is, to you guys, where do we balance the game for? Because if we go Conquer and above, right? Again, it's a different picture. So we got Malians on top, right? We got Mongols, Ottomans, the deadly trio. So you can say they're pretty strong. Rus 4th. Rus 4th. Interesting. Abbasid 5th. Delhi's around there, Aether's around there. China, 48%. That's still not great. French, 47%. English, 46.8. Oof. So, what do we do here? So, wait. Abbasid, Rus, China, English, HRE, French have had poor win rates when I swap through these. The three consistents were Malian, Mongol, and Ottoman. So what does this mean? Do we buff the other 7? Do we nerf these 3? If we do that, does that actually fix anything? Because we saw 3 different points. We saw overall, I mean, we can also look at like Gold League, right? Gold League is surprisingly balanced, except for Rus. So, my question to people is, do we balance the game for the Joes or for the pros? Because those 2 things are completely different. And I understand both arguments, right? The one argument is you should balance the game around top pro players because they are the ones playing the game close to perfect, you know, as well as people can literally play it in the world. So they are getting the most out of their civilizations, which means that the gold players are just not playing well. But what if you have a situation in, let me try to find some completely ridiculous stat. Gold is majority of the players. Gold plat is majority of the players in AOE4. So let's say in gold and plat, just imagine this, Malian's got 65% win rate. And imagine that Malian's got 30% win rate in high leagues. So what do you do then? Do you buff Malians or do you nerf Malians? Because this is an extreme, obviously, that I'm using. This rarely happens, but it does happen. There are some civs that are considered very bad in low leagues and they're very strong in high leagues. So a lot of people, right? I mean, you guys, if you read forums, you will read these posts daily. Oh my god, Malian trade is broken, even in one-on-one. And then once you're Conqueror higher, no one ever does Malian trade. So this is the problem. If you balance the game around pros, the Joes will be unhappy and you might create very large discrepancies between the civs. Very large. Especially because there's a third thing. There's not just wins and losses. There is how difficult is the civilization to play. And this plays a huge role in the balance. And this is something that, in my opinion, is not discussed at all, almost. And not looked at all, almost, right? And how difficult or easy it is to defend something when a civ attacks you. This is something I discussed about, not a year ago, but maybe 8 months ago. The Mongol tower rushing. After Mongol tower rushing got nerfed, people still complain about it. Why did they complain about it? Not because it was overpowered, but because it was too hard to deal with. I don't know, some of you may remember these conversations. It was too hard to deal with for gold players. Pro players had no issue with it after nerfs. You know, we managed to defend, we found ways around it. But there was still people in lower leagues just dying straight up to tower rushes because they didn't know how to defend. And then further nerfs were asked for Mongols because people can defend it. And I've said back then, and I still agree with that train of thought to this day, if Mongol tower rush wasn't too strong, people in Gold League didn't know how to deal with it. And I'm not saying necessarily learn to play, I'm saying the way you can balance the game is actually change something so it doesn't ruin the balance at the top level, but makes the broken civ harder to use. And I'm going to use Malians as this example. Malians right now, in my opinion, might be the easiest civilization to play. It's extremely simple, it's straight to the point with the Farimba build that a lot of people have improved a lot on, and a lot of people have a good understanding of it. So right now, Malians is basically age up to feudal. You build the landmark that is a tower, a large tower that defends your gold. You don't need to learn how to defend your gold. You don't really need wood. You get to castle, and then you put all your workers on gold except few on food and few on wood, and you just use one production building to make all your units in the game. That is extremely simple. You only need one resource. You only need to defend one resource. You don't need to expand. You don't need to think about, you know, oh my god, I gotta defend the wood line and this, that. You don't need it. You just need gold. It's extremely easy to play. And this is very big problem in my opinion. This is a very big problem. Malians at a high level, I think, is decent. It's far from OP. But win rates pretty much in every league show that Malians are 52 to like 54%. I personally think the easiest way to nerf Malians is to rebalance their Farimba in a way where it requires you to use 2 resources. If you do that, the Malians will be a lot harder to play. Or you can also change the second landmark, which is a tower. You can change it to, I would actually, in my opinion, I would push that landmark to H3 and I would put the cow landmark into H2. The cow landmark from castle if you move it to H2, it promotes more to DC play, it promotes more macro play. And then if you put the tower in H3, which will allow you for, get the bonuses from trading, and you can have it so it starts with a spring gold upgrade. I would personally love to see that change, because then if you want to run Farumba and you want to rush it, then you actually need to defend your gold. Okay? Right now, you don't need to defend your gold. You build a landmark, and that's it. The landmark's there. You're untouchable. That landmark will shit on everything that comes close to you. And by the time the opponent has something, you're already in castle. And this is the issue with Malians. It's very simple. It's too easy. I don't think their units are necessarily overpowered. I think Musafari warriors might be too strong. But I don't think the units are the problem. I think it's how easy it is to play at low or high rank. I think that's the main issue by far with Malians. The economy is simple. The unit micro is simple. The build order is simple. You don't gotta defend. It's just simple, right? And then in castle, you overtake your opponents quite a bit. And surprise, surprise, most of Malian wins come into castle. I wonder why. So this is one of the ways I personally would like to see game balanced. I don't want to see Malian Farimba get like, it's more expensive with gold. So if it costed 500, now it costs 600 gold to make a unit. I don't want that. I would rather have it go from, if it costs 500 gold, I want it to cost 350 gold and 150 wood or food. It needs to be requiring your brain to actually work to macro. Brainless macro should not be a thing in Age of Empires 4, and it should not be a thing with Malians either. I understand the idea. Like, oh, it's a gold civ and you use gold, and that's all great. Majority of the unit cost can be gold, but you can also add a second resource. I see what the devs were going with, but it just creates for a very poor decision making, aka non-existent, and it's very hard for the opponents to deal with it. And this is the second part of the issue with Malians. It is very hard to deal with their units because of how fast and because how many they arrive. There's a spike when you play normal games. If you play against French, right? You know, it starts normal and then it kind of goes up, and they get on deer, they get on boar, and their gathering rate goes up, they're making units, and they plummet. They run out of deer, they run out of boar, they slowly plummet, they go on berries run out, and they go like this, and they gotta go make farms. When is that point for Malians? It's never, right? They just go on to the next gold, which is usually your goals are close. So this is an issue. There's no winding down period. The moment Malian is in castle, if you're not close to castle or you're not about to outproduce them, you will die. If you just trade one for one, you're just bashing each other, you will lose that game. You're not going to win. Because eventually you will run out of food and they're not going to run out of gold. I also saw that a lot of people are pointing out like Malian passive gold is an issue. It gives too much. I personally don't think so. I think it's an interesting mechanic for them. They get free gold, their units cost gold. I think all that is great. I like that their cows cost gold. I think all that is cool. I just think that it is extremely easy to play, and I think that it's hard to defend, and it promotes no decision making whatsoever. It's very A to B. If people thought French feudal knight pushing is A to B, this is like A to A. You don't even move from A. You're just at A. You're just at your first gold mine, and that's it. At least French has to move their workers to mine different resources, you know, balance the food, gold, and wood. But yeah, let's talk about another civ, which is the complete opposite, and that is Rus. So Rus is obviously on the other side, and if we look at overall, Rus in gold is lowest win rate. In diamond, it's middle of the pack, and then conquer, it's positive win rate. This is another problem. Rus is the worst civilization in this game right now, at the top level. Now, what I'm showing you this, you might be, you know, noticing I'm showing you conquer and above, and I'm saying it at the top level. So what does that mean? This is not top level, okay? This is conquer and above. To put in perspective, and this is not me like bragging, I just want to explain the difference to people. Conquer is 1.4k. So 1,400 elo is 1.4. Right now, my main account is on 2.3k. That means I have 900 elo above Conquer player that just entered. Conquer 2 is 1.5k. I am 800 elo above Conquer 2. Or rating, whatever you want to call it. Conquer 3 starts at 1.6. I am 700 points above Conquer 3. A guy that just entered Conquer 3, which is the highest level in Age of Empires 4, I am 700 points ahead. Now, to put in perspective, Twitch chat is going to help me with this one because I don't know the numbers. So, difference between Conquer 1 and me, if you would take 900 points, you would put the difference between me and Conquer 1 to the difference of Conquer 1 and a player that has 500 rating. What is 500 rating in AOE4? What league is that? Is it silver? Silver 1. Okay. Make it silver. Fuck it. Now, I've seen comments. People are like, oh, that's not the same. There is no way a Conquer 1 player loses to a silver player. And there's no way I'm going to lose a game to a 1.4k player. I'm sorry, but there is none. I know a lot of people are going to say, but if he does this, and then you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, if I play 100 games against Conquer 1, I will not lose a single game. The skill difference is massive. I can, like, this is what I mean. When I tell people, right, I saw instantly someone say, that's not the same. It is the same. It is the same. Because, you know what? I've never lost in a normal game to a Conquer 1 guy. And even if I did, that is 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 2,000, right? The point is, the skill difference is massive. So why am I telling you this? Stroking my own... No. What I'm trying to tell you is these stats, while cool, they're not representative from the top level. Because Conquer 1 is 1.4k, at the top level is considered, let's see, like pro level, this is where pros have their accounts. So this is from, you know, 1.9 rating and above, I would consider pro level, and maybe like 1.7 to 1.9 I would consider semi-pro, in my opinion, based on rating. You can, I don't know how many players have their smurfs in, but assume top 30 players. Make it 1.8, fuck it. Make it 1.8. I would say 1.8 and above is more representative of top players, right? I don't think Conquer 1 and top players is the same, is what I'm trying to say. So, why am I going into this? Well, Rus in Conquer and above has very good win rate, 52%. What you don't know is that no pro player is willingly going to say, yeah, I'm going to pick Rus on any map except Mediterranean right now because it's really good. No one's saying that because it's not good. And this is another layer of who do we balance the game for? Because if suddenly we buff Rus, it will bring up their win rate in Conquer, but it will also create further problems. So I think, or well, not in gold, but there was another league where Rus had decent win rate. I can't remember which one it is. Here, 49%. So I think that at this point, unless things are brokenly obvious and they're completely overpowered at like every single level, including pro level, I think we gotta adjust maybe the difficulty of the civs. One of the things I had suggested a long time ago, before French got nerfed, I suggested that we nerfed the French Knights. This is way back when. This was like 8-9 months ago. My suggestion was, don't nerf the Knights damage. Don't nerf the Knights regen. Don't nerf the Knights anything. Leave them as it is. That's their thing. That's what makes French French. Their feudal aggression. That's what they're for. Just make their healing ability activation. You have to click a button to heal and it has like a minute cooldown. So if you click it to heal and I attack you, I interrupt the heal and then you gotta wait a minute to start healing. This is the perfect example of what I mean. You're nerfing it, but you're nerfing it by making it harder to use. This would not change anything at the top level, or very little, because top players would get very good at moving away their knights and putting them to heal. But suddenly, low leagues, you actually have to push another button, right? You have to be like, okay, my knight is low, I'm gonna press to heal, I'm gonna move it away. That's another decision you have to do. You're adding more onto it. Now, French got nerfed the other ways, but what happened then? French got nerfed the other ways, and voila, French got fucked at the top level, and is actually one of the worst performing civs at the top level. Why? Because that's what French was about. Feudal aggression, being strong and attacking, and once you nerf it, and I think one of the reasons it was nerfed was because it was extremely dominant in lower leagues and in team games. And now we're in a situation where French is just not in a great shape at the top level. So in my opinion, that was the... I can't remember what the changes exactly were, but that was the wrong way to go about it. Now, let me show you some secret special stats, alright? These are stats that are not accessible on the website. Robitron sent this in one of the Discords. These are ranked matches for one-on-one, both players being 1.8k. So this is not, this is without mirrors, and this is without one guy farming a diamond player or a conqueror player. And the win rates look completely different. Look at this. Delhi is at the bottom. I think this is the first list we've seen Delhi at the bottom. Rus, look where it is. And this is what I mean. We haven't seen Rus in Conquer and above on AOE4 World from 1.4k above ever have this low win rate. It always had positive win rate. English 49%, French 50%, Mongols 51%, Chinese 52%. Mind you, a lot of the tier lists we just saw, not tier lists, sorry, the ranks of the civs, Chinese was among the lowest. 52%, Holy Roman Empire is 52%, Abbasid 52%, Malians 52.6%, and Ottomans at 54%. Why am I saying that Ottoman earlier will be complained about very soon? Well, people are going to be more and more aware once these win rates get to AOE4 World on the website, and it shows in Gold League or Plat League or Diamond that Ottomans are the highest. And at 54%, that is becoming a little worrying, right? So soon people will be complaining about Ottomans, and we're going to add them as number 7 OP civilization, right? I thought these stats were really cool. I've never seen these kinds of stats. Looking at these stats, I think that Delhi having that low win rate is weird, which is something to remember. And you'll see why in a second. Rus, not surprising. English is a bit surprising to me. French, okay, so-so, 50%. Mongol, I think it's good, but it's not overpowered. Chinese, I'm surprised it's not higher. Remember that one too. Then you have HRE with 52%. I am assuming HRE at the top level should probably be about 47 to 48% without Mediterranean. I don't have any stats on this, but I would imagine the win rate of Holy Roman Empire would drop quite a bit because Holy Roman Empire is played a lot on Mediterranean. Then you have the Abbasid, which to be honest, I am surprised. At 52.3, we have Malians. You know, again, same thing. Them being easy to play translates into Conquer even at the higher levels. You know, if one player has to do 10 things and the other player has to do 2 things, obviously it's easier for the guy that's doing 2 things to win. And then Ottoman, I think this comes from Ottoman right now at the top level meta is bashing a lot of civs quite hard. I'm not going to say it counters them, but Ottoman, I would say, is decent against Malians. It craps on Abbasid. I think it's pretty good against HRE. I think it's pretty good against Mongols. It's pretty good against French. And I think it counters English. And it's also pretty good against Rus. And I think it's equal with Delhi. I think it should be losing to China. And I just don't think it has bad matchups. Maybe China, that's it. Ottoman's just really good at the top level. And one of the things is, one of the most played civ is English and Mongols. And Ottomans beats both. In my opinion, it should beat both, right? And obviously these things, you know, when you look at it, you gotta take in consideration which civ at the top and which civ it beats, right? Because you can't just say, oh, 54%, that's broken, right? Also, you have a civ that they, I would say, trade out against, Delhi, and Delhi has among the lowest win rates right now. So, and also China is not played too much compared to, you know, English. Now, there's another level of this. Low sample size, of course. There's another level of this. Let's look at 1.9k plus. Okay? Now, this is an interesting one. Let me just paint you a picture, literally. We have another one that is 1.9k plus, assuming both players are above 1.9k elo, no mirrors. So I want you to pay attention to this one. Okay? Malians, look at this, 100 elo. This is 100 elo difference, guys. 100 elo difference. Malians are 54%, Atri is 54%, French is 52%, Chinese is 51%, Ottoman down to 50%, Mongols, Rus, English. Abbasid is at 45%. What the fuck happened? What happened? Right? Low sample size? You can say low sample size for 1,000 games as well, right? See, that's the thing. You say low sample size. Then how come Delhi has very similar rate to this? How come Malians is also still at the top? Why is there no low sample size there? Why is there only low sample size when people disagree with things? In retrospect, for stats to be correct, it is low sample size. I understand that. Now, this is the funny part. This one right here on the right is ranked match one-on-one, both players above 1.9k elo, no mirrors, without me included. So this is win rates without me playing against or with civilizations. Okay? So apparently I'm the guy that's dragging the Malians down 1%. French, I'm also dragging French. So you can see, I'm going to just write minus. What is this? Minus 1%. 1%. 2%. Holy Roman Empire, I would say it's pretty equal. Right? Yeah, it's pretty equal. We'll do an equal. That is not the color that's good there, but whatever. We have Rus at 49% here. With me, 51. That is, or without me, sorry. It's -2. Then you have French is up by 2. Yeah, I mean like, okay, I'm doing it the other way around in my brain. Technically, I should be doing, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. I should technically be doing it plus. Ottomans, 50%, plus 1%. Mongols, 49. It's like 0.7. Okay, let's just do 1. So I'm not gonna I'm just gonna round them up. -1. Then we have, now this is where the interesting part starts, right? We'll just do -1. Fuck it. Chinese, without Beastyqt, 47.5%. With me, 51 we'll just round it up to 5%. That is 4% difference. Then we got Abbasid, without me, that's -1.5, plus 1.5. And, okay, I said I'm gonna, okay, whatever, I'm just keeping it 1.5, fuck it. I'm not redoing them anymore. English, I am boosting it by 1%. And then the last one is Delhi Sultanate, which I'm just going to round them at 43.36. I'm buffing it by 7%. Now, are you guys, yeah, why can you guys not see the colors? They're normal. So this is the interesting part, right? This is one player's influence. Are you sure you're boosting it? Yeah. Without me, it's 36%. With me, it's 43.4%. So this is another issue with stats, even when looking at the top level. Now, if you asked a rank 10 player on the ladder, whoever that is, they might say, Delhi and China, they're not that good. You know, French and Rus are way better. Because I don't perform as well on those two, right? But they might. So that's the whole thing. And one player can have a massive influence on the top level win rates. Because Delhi, at the top level, above 1.9k on the ladder, would be at 36%. That is extremely fucking low. Extremely low. Like that is like something needs to be done. I personally think Delhi is pretty good, right? I think it's not bad at all. I would place it probably in top 5 civs. But as seen here by the stats, these are pretty bad win rates. And I also don't think that Malians are that good. I think they're good. They're not that good. Once you take all these things into consideration, we'll go back to the start. There's a lot of people that say that X or Y needs to be nerfed. And listen, I'm not gonna defend developers. Developers can talk for themselves and developers can defend themselves, right? I personally think that having 10 civilizations, and you need to balance each civilization, not only to balance their units, but you need to figure out every single matchup to make sure it works, to make sure it's balanced, is very hard. And then you have how difficult the civ is. And then you have that civ in gold, that civ in platinum, that civ in diamond, that civ in conquer, that civ in conquer 2.
Statistically, if you toss a fair con 200 times, you can end up with 45% tails versus 55% heads. So any difference less than 5% is pure RNG and can't draw balanced conclusions. You need a much larger sample size.
That's what I've been listening to StarCraft for the past 6 years of it, when we said Zerg's OP, and then Zerg ended up winning 80% of the tournaments, and people said, low sample! They only won 50 out of 60 tournaments, guys. It's a low sample, you know? Yeah, too small sample size. Meanwhile, Zerg is still winning tournaments. But we need to wait another 10 years for a bigger sample size. Now, if you look at the win rates, by the way, these are my accounts. Obviously, I have high win rate on all of them, but sometimes I lose with them, right? So you can see here, for example, my main, I haven't played too much since December 1st, but it's all play like 3-3, 2-2 games. This one I played, I think, a lot more. So you can see English, I have 80% win rate. Malians, I got 61%, right? Because I was trying stuff, which is why I dragged the Malians and the English down a little bit. Mind you, these are, obviously, someone might think, how do you have 80% and you're dragging it down? Again, it's players that 1.9k versus 1.9k and above, right? But you can see with some of the other civs, like Delhi, I have 100% win rate. And I think someone mentioned earlier in the chat, against players 1.9k and above, I am 14-5 with Delhi, which is obviously a very good win rate, and why the win rate is you know, booped up that much. And then my third account, the Ilalu account, is obviously I've been doing better and better in English. I think did I nerf or buff English win rate? I can't remember. Oh yeah, I boost up English win rate by 1%. So what is the conclusion of all of this? What did we get to? Do we balance the game around Joes or pros? Because there's what a lot of people call elitist opinion, and I've seen this before, right? Where one of the most common responses on Reddit is next, right? Someone says English Rush is broken and needs immediate fixing, and then, you know, a guy 2 comes and says, no, at the top level, English is quite balanced. It's quite okay. And then they say, yes, but they should be balancing the game against Joes. And the other guy says, well, they should be balancing the game for pros. And I always found this argument interesting. And that guy that says that the game should be balanced around pros is called elitist because who cares about the top players? Something along those lines. There's no discussion. If you balance the game for the top 1%, you could ruin the game for the rest of 99%. Name me one competitive game that balances the game around Gold League. That is competitive game. I'm waiting. You can do different genres too. I can see people, someone said League of Legends. League of Legends is literally looked at constantly, and they're buffing and nerfing top based on LCS performance. They do buffs around Joes too, by the way. So this is the interesting part. 60% versus 40. Now, that's not a huge dub for pros. Like, balance the game around pros. But there's pluses and minuses for both sides. The plus side, if you balance the game around pros, you have a balanced game. You have a good viewing experience on Twitch. You have good viewing experience on tournaments. You know which civs are truly strong at the top level, and there's a thing to strive for. Okay? By the way, I think the game should be balanced around pros, just to make it clear. The downside is the Joes might struggle with certain things because they don't know how to deal with it. Now, this is where I would balance the game by making the game more difficult for more of the easier civs like Malians, so that the top level remains balanced, and then you help the low level. Now, now the other side of the argument that I hear a lot is you should balance the game around Joes because that's the majority of the players, and I quote, "No one cares about the top 1% and balance around them." Now, this is very narrow-sighted. This is very, very narrow-sighted. This is like so narrow-sighted, the only thing you can see is your nose. Why is this narrow-sighted? Let's say, I think last week or 2 weeks before, English and China were at 44% win rate overall, I think, or in low leagues, one of those two. So let's say we listen to that advice. Let's say we buffed HRE, China, and English because it's at 44%. That's a pretty bad number, right? Those are some of the strongest civs in top level 1-on-1. But let's say we listen to that and balance the game around Joes. Next tournament comes. What do you think would happen in that tournament? I'll tell you what will happen. Every single game will be English versus China, China versus English, China versus China, China versus HRE, English versus HRE, English, English, HRE, HRE. Why? Because pros don't give a fuck what's fun to play. They don't give a fuck what should be fun or what should be good. They will play what's best. Now, do you think it's good for the game to have a tournament where 3 civs are played? Do you think that shows that the game is good? If we can't play Abbasid, we can't play Malians, we can't play Ottomans because they're just so awful. Do you think that's good representation of the game? Or, to go even further, imagine it's a best of 7. Oh, you got English versus Ottoman? I guess I lose. Oh, English versus Delhi? Oh, I win. That's easy clap. HRE versus Mongol? Easy clap. And then every time there's one of those OP civs against weaker ones, it's just an auto win because it's just stronger. And you might say, yeah, but it's not going to be that bad. It already is that bad with Chinese, and we're balancing the game around pro players. That's how LCS is. Same picks and bans champions every single game. Yeah, and that's why, you know what happens in Twitch chat? Everyone's spamming Resident Sleeper. I follow League of Legends. I follow Worlds. I follow LCS sometimes. You know what happens in Worlds? There's like 2 mid laners that are played, and there's a third one that potentially a guy's playing if one of the 2 are banned. That's it. And it's same mid laner every single game. And everyone's just Resident Sleep. I mean, Caitlyn's been played since 2010. If you think that's fun, and that's good for the game, I'm going to have to disagree on that. I think that Joes are extremely important. Azir, yeah, Azir this Worlds was every game. Azir, Victor, Silas, and was that it? Azir, Victor, and Silas were... By the way, this is out of... And Akali? Okay. This was out of like, how many champions does League have? How many champions? 165. 160. Do you think, let me ask you, do you think it's good gameplay to have 160 champions? Let's say 30 of those are mid laners and only 3-4 are played. Do you think that's good? That's a good thing. That's a good viewing experience. Genuinely, do you think that's good? I don't think it's good. Now, this is with 160 heroes that can be played in multiple roles, but let's give it best case scenario divided by 5 and have about 32 champions per role, which is not the case. You can play more than 32 champions on mid league, technically, in theory. What makes you think that out of 10 civs in AOE4, 2 civs would not be played constantly and nothing else? It's the same thing would happen. Tournament rules? That's another problem. That's another problem. I see that argument. Oh, but you just make it so that they have to play different civs. Yeah. And then whenever you have, you know, Victor against fucking whatever, Fizz, right, on the middle, Victor just auto wins. Right? Whenever you have China versus whatever civ, they just auto win. So the viewing experience is, oh, that guy just loses because he has this civ. Okay, poggers. That's the issue. So now, what is the actual solution to this? I don't know, right? I personally think, to end this conversation, right, and to queue up ladder again, I personally think that the game should be balanced around top level, top level, because people should be striving and having a clear goal of how Civilization should be played. I think that the game should be balanced and changed for the Joes in, you know, whatever, bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamond league, by creating changes where it does not impact the top level, but impacts their level, right? Personally, I'm not up for this change, but another good example of this would be buffing Rus in low leagues would be possible without breaking the balance. You know when your scout attacks deer, it shoots twice, it kills it, and then you shoot third time even though the target is dead. So a way to buff Rus in low leagues is to make it so that the scout will not shoot the third time, but instead it will move on to the new target. Why doesn't this change the pro level play? Because pro players already do this by manually moving the scout. Now this is a change I wouldn't like, because even at the top level it matters, but that's a way to buff the Rus. Let's say Rus was strong in the top level without actually breaking the top level game plan. And those are more the changes that that I wouldn't mind, rather than changes that are like, oh yeah, this unit just gets fucked and has less armor or it has less health, because that affects everything and it will, you know, can cause issues everywhere. That is my opinion. Now, team games are something completely worse, and I know I started this video with the trade thing, but I'm gonna make another video regarding trade, because we've had this discussion quite a bit recently with trading, and is trading overpowered and should trading be nerfed? And the reason why I wanted to make it a same video, but I realized I'm going on about it for a while.
Hey baby.
And I think that's gonna be a whole another topic, because it does play into the skill level, but there's another kind of thing there that's added, and that extra thing is team games. So you have trading in one-on-ones, trading at low level, trading at high level, and then you have trading in 2v2s, trading in 3v3s, trading in 4v4s. And whether you gotta nerf it or buff it or whatever, we'll discuss that another time. Yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. We'll keep discussing it now in Twitch chat. For now, YouTube gamers, have a good one. Oh, check out my Twitch YouTubers if you haven't. Maybe I'm live right now. Just saying. Twitch gamers, let's keep going.